Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Island Tea right here on Win Media SK. And it's still the most wonderful day of the year.
Yes, because it's your birthday.
February 23rd. And here to help me celebrate is actually Mr. Pete Russell here from the CPL. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Well, good morning. I didn't realise it was such a special day. Otherwise, I would have come with flowers and gifts and all sorts. But
your presence is enough, sir.
Oh, that's good. Happy birthday to you anyway.
I appreciate it. And as Jade hinted, you're here, in your capacity, representing the CPL.
I am. It only seems like yesterday that we were at Warner Park watching the Patriots lift their first title. But like all things, we have to keep planning and moving forward. So we're back looking at how we take the 2022 tournament forward. So yeah, very exciting. But it's always nice to come back here anyway. I get to feel a bit relaxed when I come here.
Oh, for sure, man. And welcome back to St. Kitts, the home of the CPL champions, of course, as you mentioned. I always say that particular series and competition, I think it was just so timely for the people of St. Kitts to have the whole competition set here during the pandemic. We were blessed to be able to host it, and I'm sure we'll talk about some of why that was such a good thing. But I mean, even just the emotional contribution to see like our own home franchise win the competition on our home grounds, I think that did a lot just for the spirits of the people of St. Kitts.
And during Independence.
During Independence time as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And you have to remember that you were going through the third wave.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going on off the pitch. And so I think, as you say, just to give a little bit of joy to everyone on the pitch was, I think, very important. But it's interesting, the Caribbean wide, everyone said, during that month, it was great for people to, switch off from, the daily dramas that COVID brought and to get that release to watch some top-class cricket.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I could tell that it was being watched all across the world. It is just absolutely the most amazing party in sports, as far as I'm concerned. And people really seem to enjoy the product, people just enjoy the CPL.
But, no, go ahead, Pete. I was about to say, even with all the extra things that we had to do to even pull this off, it was amazing to see how with the little hiccups here and there with Corona and all of that, people put that to the back of their mind and just enjoy the product that was presented to them.
Yeah, definitely.
It was an escape.
It was. But again, I think, you have to give huge credit to everyone down here for putting on a world-class tournament like that. I mean, we're lucky enough to be able to run it. But, that doesn't happen really without the support of everyone here. So, from the CMO, obviously, to the Minister of Sport, Janelle, who worked tirelessly 24/7 to make sure everything was as safe as it could be. And it was just a bit of a shame, I think, that we didn't have a packed house when they won. But as you say, everyone was tuning in around the region, not only the region, but around St. Kitts and Nevis. So, everyone got to celebrate in their own way, I'm sure.
For sure. I know when the CPL was announced last year, and it was announced that it was going to take place right here in St. Kitts, Nevis. It was, I guess, met locally with a bit, different views, and we're looking back at it now and saying, man, we see all the ways that it impacted the population, what it did for us, as we just spoke about. But I know there were some stuff released very recently as it relates to even just the economic impact of the CPL, which was one of the things that was touted as something that we anticipated. What's that information like, and how is it looking?
No, very good. I mean, over the whole piece, if you just take the economic value, and that includes media value, it's around 88 million. But a large chunk of that is the marketing value, because we had 500 million viewers around the world. But you're right in terms of the economic value, because that was a big indicator, and one of the discussions we had with the government. There's a direct impact of around $8 million into the economy.
Oh, wow.
So if you look at that, what's very important, and some of the things that it's important, I think, for people to understand is when CPL comes, it spends a lot of money because it needs to, because of infrastructure, because of players, because of having 300 people staying here for close to 5 weeks. So that's an important aspect, because obviously everyone is spending money, whether it's on food or drink, or just taxis, or anything that impacts locally. So we were delighted with the numbers, as obviously with the government. So for us it was, and I understand the fear to begin with, because what no one wanted was for CPL to bring COVID in. That was right. And we were obviously very conscious of that, and to be able to have played it as safely as we did, and not impacted at all in that regard, I think was a huge tick in the box. But yeah, the economic impact has been tremendous, and we're very pleased with that.
Yeah, I can speak from my experience being a part of the bubble that it was very safe, from the players to the staff to anybody that was associated with CPL had to literally quarantine, be in a bubble for the 5 weeks that we had the tournament. So even if we had like a little scare, we would have to go and test and make sure everything was good. So I'm very pleased and happy to say that when it comes to the COVID side, we took all the precautions that we needed to take. All the necessary things were in place, and we had a pretty safe environment.
Although the testing was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
You never get used to that.
No, you do not. I think that was my first time actually being tested for COVID.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, and I was so scared because of the way people spoke about it, but wasn't that bad.
No, it's fine. After a while, you get used to it, but. Yeah, it was the first time, as you say, it was a bit of a shock. But no, as I said, the CMO and all the testing companies we used did a great job in making sure we were tested in a timely manner.
Definitely. So, what was your favourite part of the last CPL?
Look, I think the final match was just such a good game of cricket.
Yeah.
For Dominic,
final over, man.
Final over, and Dominic Drakes to do what he did. You can't but be inspired by that, and I think that's the other good thing about what CPL's doing now is young kids like Dominic coming through and showing their value. It hopefully inspires other youngsters to take the game up and think, I want to do that. I want to be the guy that hits the winning runs at Warner Park or wherever it might be. But that was great, and I think to get a home victory was always fantastic, because for St Kitts and Nevis to take on the Trinidads, the Guyanas, the Jamaicas, and beat them all, I think says a lot. And you're a very proud nation, so I think to be able to crown yourselves as champions was a great result.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, I know for sure, because of the scale of the event. Even before the last ball was bowled last year, you guys had to already been looking forward to this year upcoming CPL. How are plans going for this year's edition?
Yeah, very good. I mean, like all of the years that we plan, we have about 70 different schedules to look at, depending on how COVID might impact us. But we're hopeful, obviously, by September that things will be a little kinder to us in that regard. But we're not going to play across the 6 islands. We'll definitely play across 4. That's our thought. But all the action will start here. It will start in St Kitts.
All right, so we're getting some more games.
You are. And, there's a couple of new initiatives that I can't talk about just yet that I've been speaking to the Minister of Sport about that I think will really excite the local population. So, but the CPL games will kick off on the 30th of August. And we'll have 8 games here.
Oh, we have 8 games happening here.
But that's just the start. And as I said, I think there's other announcements that will be made in the next month that I think will excite everyone in terms of what CPL is trying to do as we go forward.
Oh, it just means that you're going to have to come back and have a conversation with us.
100%. Don't worry, that's a given.
Okay, so can you give us a little insight into the 4 islands that we will be playing across?
Still, I mean, I've been going around, obviously, various countries over the last few weeks. We're definitely, hopefully, playing in St Lucia. And then we're in conversations for Barbados, Trinidad and Guyana. So it's going to be a combination of those. But the good news is that St Kitts is a lock, and we definitely start here. So the champions will be the first ones to play on their home ground. And again, it would just be great if the crowd's back, because I think there'll be a pretty lively crowd for that first game.
Oh yeah, man, I could imagine. And the thing is, like you're saying, CPL, part of the CPL is just that interaction with the crowd, like the energy that the crowd brings to the event. And I'm really hoping that is available to us when that time comes.
Yeah, and CPL is the crowd. I always say it. I say to people who haven't been to watch a CPL match, you really haven't watched or experienced cricket at its best, and unless you've watched it in the Caribbean, and certainly a CPL game, because there's an electricity to it. And once the crowds are back, I know that they'll bring the party with them, which we can't wait for.
Oh, for sure.
So in terms of if we have a crowd back, do you think that we will have any changes in the policies that we have? Because I know last year we had an instance where we were able to operate at what it was, 80% capacity?
50%.
50%, yes.
Yeah.
And we also had to be fully vaccinated to watch any of the games. Do you foresee any changes to those policies?
We'll just be guided by the policy of the time. So the CMO will tell us, what is safe to do and what isn't safe to do. So we certainly won't be making our own policies outside of what is recommended by the CMO. And that worked so well for us last time. There was good dialogue and everyone knew what they were trying to achieve, and everyone got in and out safely, and that's what we'll do again. But yeah, we won't make any policies until we've had those conversations.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at, and we just discussed just the involvement of the crowd and the uniqueness about games being held here in the Caribbean. But just to try and put it together, I'm going to ask this question: What is it that, at least from your perspective, makes the CPL so unique, as it relates to in comparison to some of the other leagues?
Well, I describe it as it's cricket meets carnival, and if you can get that combination right. So my view is always you've got to have the product's got to be good. So the cricket's got to be your priority.
Right.
So we've got to make sure that we put the best players on the pitch, and it's a competitive product. Now, the beauty of the league at the minute is because you've got owners from around the world, 3 IPL owners. Every team wants to win. It matters.
Right.
So everyone goes into the game fired up, pumped up, and it doesn't matter their teammates in the West Indies team. They want to beat each other, and I think that's important. So every game matters, and then of course it's the atmosphere. Our view has always been that we want people to come and enjoy themselves. It's an entertainment product. So even if you're not necessarily tuned into the cricket for the entire game, there's other things for you to do. It's a good liming session for people. So you go to the party stands; they're always buzzy, and it's good a good opportunity for people to mix and communicate, talk to their friends, family. It's just a good night out, and of course it's affordable. That's we're not trying to to profit on the ticket price. We want people to come in and have a great time at a very decent value. So $10 a ticket is, these days is very good value for the sort of product that we can put on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and those things that you highlighted, the atmosphere, the quality of the games, the personalities on and off the pitch, of course, I think really does a lot to entice people not only to want to be a part of the CPL from a perspective, like from being a part of the crowd, but even encouraging other people to get involved in playing the sport. I also believe that one of the things that may have discouraged people in the past may have been the format of the long game, the one day and test cricket. Do you believe that the shorter format is doing a lot to encourage people to get involved in playing the sport?
I definitely do. If you actually look at the the gender split of people that come to CPL games, probably 40% are women, which is fantastic. So I think that tells you that there's a real interest outside of what I would call the traditional audience. And what we're doing now is again with what happened with IPL. So all these, they talk about these West Indies millionaires who got contracts at the IPL. That's fantastic, obviously for them, but it's also great for young kids who can see a pathway. So they can say, well, actually, look, if I do well, if I'm a good cricketer and I can perform, that is open to me. And what young kid doesn't want to go and earn that sort of money. So I think that's what the shorter form of the game has done. I think it's put money into the game, and players are benefiting from that, which is a good thing.
I can honestly say that I feel like because of CPL, a lot of players, their value went up. So the other leagues realized that the players that we had in this tournament are worth a lot more than what they probably thought before, just based on their performance from this league.
No question. And again, as I mentioned, we've got 3 IPL owners, so they watch these players close up. So it's very advantageous for the players to have that in terms of the organisation. But also what I think is good is, for us, it's a very chilled environment. So players, in India, you go to India, you get mobbed. If you're Chris Gale or you're Dwayne Bravo, you get no time to yourself. So the pressure is immense. So here it's a far more relaxed atmosphere. And that allows players to perform in a better way, I think, because they don't have that constant pressure. They can relax and have some downtime. So I think the whole environment allows these guys to do what they do to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hearing is just that CPL really does have lots of positives to bring to not only the countries in which it's held or the countries that have the franchises, but also even just to the sport in general. I mean, I'm for one, I'm a real fan. My grandmother, man, she loves going to the games. It's almost like a ritual when it's CPL time. She looks forward to going to the games, and I know that's the same for so many people from so many different backgrounds.
Yeah, and that's great to hear. I love that because it means that we do have a special place now in the hearts of fans across the region. And I think in your intro you said, what do people like to talk about in the Caribbean? And a common language is cricket. And I think if we can keep evangelising about that and put smiles on people's faces as we go around the region playing this tournament, then I think we've done a great job. And we have to give credit also obviously to Cricket West Indies, because they're the guys who are bringing these players through for us. And I look at ourselves a little bit as a finishing school sometimes, but there's so much talent here, and that's what you just want to bring to the fore. And hopefully we're doing our bit in that regard.
Yeah, but even where that is concerned, and we see sometimes at the top the successes, but I think at least I can't speak for some of the other islands, sorry, but it may seem a bit cloudy as it relates to the pathway to get to that position for young cricketers, who love the sport and that's their goal, to be the next Chris Gale, to be the next Simon Bravo. What advice would you have to some of those young cricketers in terms of navigating this cricket in this world and getting to where they really want to see themselves?
Yeah, look, I think Cricket West Indies have a structure now. There's no question. I mean, we are. If I look at, we're going into our 10th year this year, which is so. For us, it's an even bigger party. But
congratulations.
So once we go into, if you like, the next decade, my sense is that we have to be part of that solution in terms of the development. How do we get these young kids to come? Even if it's just to go to a net session where they can get the bug and coaches can look at them, and if they're good and have that natural ability, they can start to take them on a pathway to greater success. So, I see definitely our role increasing in that regard, island by island. Actually, I've got a conversation straight after this in terms of talking about how we work on a development academy. So I think all of those initiatives will be seen coming forward over the next few years, and it's an important part of our brand as we, I think, hopefully improve the product year on year.
Well, you see, that was actually what I was really hoping to hear. That there is plans in place for some of these developmental strategies, like for the islands. I think what happens is it's definitely getting better, but there's still a feeling that some islands get more of a look than some of the other islands, and so it feels limited. The opportunities for some players from some countries.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I mean, look, putting a West Indies team onto the pitch is a very political process. You know, it's not an easy process. And so, look, I think, you know, they do a great job, my view is that the team they have at the minute has great prospects for the World Cup in Australia. I think they've got the right mix and balance now. But, you know, for us, it's also, you know, you've got the Winwoods and the Leewoods in terms of domestic cricket. And I think by St Kitts having its own franchise here, that gives it the opportunity to, you know, work in St Kitts, so work on the talent that is here. You know, I know Nevis is good at producing young talented players, but you know, we want to give more opportunity to local competition. So that's definitely something that will happen. I mean, it has to happen because, you know, at the end of the day, the players are the lifeblood of the tournament. So we need to make sure we get the best.
And speaking of developments, I know last year I was chosen to be a part of such an experience where I was a intern, and the experience taught me so much. Like before that, I loved cricket, but this really put my love for cricket on the forefront. Are there any initiatives going forward like the one that we had last year?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, as you know, the three of you were such an integral part of the team by the end, and I think that's for me what we need to do. We have to integrate and hopefully upskill where we can, and you know, teach people how certain things work that they wouldn't necessarily get access to. So, you know, a good example, you know, production is such a big part of obviously what we do. Huge TV production unit. You know, you want to have, you know, locals who don't necessarily ever get the opportunity to be in and around those guys to go and experience it and learn from it. And so we will do more. You know, that's a big part of, again, our commitment is we want to make sure that you know, we pass on whatever we can. And, you know, obviously you have huge skills. You're sitting here again on a hugely successful radio show. And that to us is what we want. We want to make sure that, you know, we follow your career as much as you follow what we're doing. And, you know, so over time we have this wonderful group of people that we can always call upon, you know, to do the Caribbean proud.
It honestly felt like a family. Like, going into it, I was a little skeptical. I wasn't sure what to expect, but at the end of it, I actually cried in my room because I'm like, yeah, I know. I was so sad when it finished because it just made me feel so at home. Yeah. You know?
And that's great to hear. And that is, you know, I think they're a great bunch of guys, the ones who work for us, and you know, they all know their responsibilities. And, you know, they just love it. I mean, I've never met a group of people that love their job more than they do. And I think that shows as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree with Jade and you, of course, about the importance of involving locals in some of these things, because that's been a big pet peeve of mine. You know, we see things happen here, and a lot of times it's the opportunity for locals to just learn and look on and network isn't afforded, and I'm really happy that that's part of what the CPL does. So kudos to you on that, and we're happy to hear that it's going to be continuing. As a matter of fact, some of the other interns are here on the live and commenting about just how much they love the experience.
Oh, that's good.
And benefited from the experience as well.
Well, that's good to hear. And yeah, look, that's, you know, that's something that we're definitely going to keep pursuing. And you know, it for me, it's like, you know, in 10 years' time, you know, this tournament will be bigger. There's no question it will be bigger. And hopefully we've given a lot of interesting experiences to a wide variety of people across the region.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just have one last question. Where can I send my application?
you know you have life membership, so you don't have to send an application in.
Okay. So, but before we leave, because, you know, time when you're having fun, it flies. Is there anything else you would like to leave us with before we wrap up?
Look, just to say a huge thanks again to all the fans in St Kitts and Nevis. You know, I do need to special shout out to the government who I think took a bit of a risk, I think probably in their eyes, to host it here. But hopefully that's paid off handsomely now. And we just have such a wonderful time down here. We have such a great relationship with the island. You know, I always love coming back here. So we can't wait to see you all in August. And yeah, hopefully COVID's behind us and we can all go out and have a good old party.
Awesome.
Looking forward to it.
And as you said, this is the 10th. This is the 10th year coming up. So CPL turns 10. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
wow.
Jade? Things turn up.
Party. Okay?
Exactly. I've even asked Eldorado if we can create our own rum. 10 years old. So let's see.
Oh, that's
Okay.
wow. Special shout out to Mr. Michael Hall, who's watching and listening.
Yes, well, Mr. Hall. Well, of course, nothing happens without him, as you know, so he is a vital cog in the machine.
All of the other CPL patrons or workers, good morning to you guys. Like, we cannot wait to see you guys in August to September to recreate an experience like no other.
I would expect Mr. Miller is sitting at home in Wales with a bacon sandwich somewhere. Yeah.
Knowing him,
Knowing him.
you're probably correct.
Yeah.
Oh man, this was awesome. But Pete, I appreciate you taking the time out to just come hang out with us this morning, man, and let us know what's happening with the CPL, and just tell us the good news about just how impactful the whole season last year was, especially to our Saints and kids. I appreciate you for what you guys are doing, and look forward to it. Like I said, coming up in just a few months.
Well, listen, thanks for having me, and happy birthday again.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
It's not easy being 25, I know.
Oh man, but guys, it has been an amazing show. I had fun. I had a good time.
I did as well.
Yeah.
It's your birthday, so of course we had to have a good time.
Yeah. Come on. Anything less would be
Uncivilized.
uncivilized. But guys, unfortunately, we're gonna have to leave. We're gonna have to go. We have to disembark.